Next, I would like to call upon the head recruiter for matrimony.com, Mr. Parthasarathy, sir.
Good afternoon. It's post lunch, so I could see some of you are like not having so much of energy. Can you guys get up for a minute and then sit down? I think you'll feel better if you want to do that. If you want to bend forward, so that you feel better. Because the chairs are also very narrow out here. I tried sitting in those chairs for some time. So, I represent matrimony.com and I head the talent acquisition function for this company. So, I've been part of this organization in a very important time, and my experience with campus have been so very recent. For the last 3 years, I've been involved heavily in campus hiring for my organization. For us, campus is not a usual job. It has been very, very strategic for our organization growth. I think our way forward would also be more of campus. We've found some amazing results coming out of campus. I'm quite happy that Mr. Xavier got in some very important points like integrity, values, result-oriented is the highest, and we have experienced that also. Some of the management trainees in our organization who have succeeded in our organizations were result-oriented. They had a highest level of integrity, so I could very well correlate with some of the things that you told. I'd run through a very small presentation. I would not want to take much time. I want to give an intro on the company because matrimony.com, while it runs some very popular brand, like if you know, Bharat Matrimony is a flagship brand. It's the largest matchmaking organization in the world, with about 3 lakh registrations a month and about 40,000 marriages that we do as an organization. So I'll introduce you to the brand and our organization in a lot. Then few slides over what was our campus experience and what advice that I could give with a small stint that I spent on campus for about 3 years. Okay. So if you really see, last year we celebrated our 15th year. We called it as a glorious 15 years. There's some problem with this. Yeah. And the one what you see below are our popular brands. Bharat Matrimony, Assisted, Elite, Community. So if you really see, we do matchmaking for all facets of population in our country. So one we'd consider community. So we service about 300 communities. India is full of communities and biases in communities and the application of those things in marriage and things like that. We also, there are typical trends emerging in our society, right? So if you really see, how many of you can conveniently in this room say, I have a lot of time? Is there anybody who says, I have a lot of time? You can raise your hand? Okay. If you look around, there are only few actually. But one of the biggest things that is growing in our society is the poverty of time. It's not just poverty of money, but poverty of time. People are going and becoming more affluent, but they're not having less. They're having less of time to dispose. So we do personalized service on matchmaking as well. So Assisted, Elite are those brands which focus on affluent and elite class of people for matchmaking. And we have other products as well, which is more focused towards marriage services. Just to give you some perspective about our markets that we operate, if you really see. Okay, these are few accolades. If you see, we are a Guinness Book of Record holder for the largest marriage album we created and the largest database that we have for marriage through Limca Book of World Record. So this is the accolades that we received. Just to give you a perspective about our organization. So this is typically where we stand, right? I just want to broadly classify organization, and if you really see, we are in this space called e-commerce. So if you see, why I want to show you this slide is, I want to show what is our business imperatives, right? As an e-commerce organization, then what are your imperatives, and then how does student community work for us, right? Or how they have to align to our organization. So if you really see, we are a product-based company. We are a B2C and C2C organization. So if you really see, our product facilitates not business to consumer, but also consumer to consumer interaction. So you can think of, conditioning behavior of customer to customer. How do you condition that behavior? So there's a lot of work on the data science side, on the product side that happens basis this. And we are fast-paced and fast-growing because that's the industry that we align to. So if you really look at the industry as such, they are fast-growing, they are innovative, they're quick in action, and they are high-risk organization. So you can see a lot of organization come and go in this space, right? So that is the organization type that we align to. We are not talking about this because I know large campuses are here, right? So it's in BPO and ID consulting. That's why that's where most of these organizations work with. So we are not in that space. We align more towards the innovators organization. So this is a interesting slide I want to show. If you really look at the organization that we work, our ecosystem is valued at this level. $64 billion. It is a near 3% of our GDP. This is the money being spent on marriage, and that is a space that we operate in, and we are the largest player in that. We feel there is a huge headroom for us. We think there is more opportunity for us. And marriage is big, so some more statistics about our organization. So you see, we are 2 billion USD, 2 trillion USD, and 1.25 billion Indian population, and 93 million. This is just for your understanding of how big is the market. 93 billion and 42% of this population living in urban India, and then there were 10 million weddings, which is going to get posted on 2025. That's a big number. We are anticipating to move quickly to 2020 and see how we can place ourselves in the year 2020. So that's the opportunity that we are currently working. So as to say that we have very long-term view of our organization. So we are a build to last kind of an organization. There are very few e-commerce. One I have here, Rajendran, my colleague who is from the same industry. Moving on to the trend of 2016, if you really see, what impacts workforce is not any different from how the industry moves, right? So industry, whatever attraction happens in industry is painted on the talent pool of that industry. So I wanted to show what are the things that impact, what is the things which actually drives industry, what are organization imperatives, and how does it paint on employee workforce. So if you see the basic influencers, if you really see, of organization is the economic growth, consumer demands, and then the time poverty that we are facing right now, and the mobile penetration. So if you really see DOT, or if you see what money has been put together for developing telecom infrastructure in India, especially mobile, by the Planning Commission, or the money that is being spent by Reliance Jio or by DOT alone, they're spending about 90,000 crore in setting up infrastructure. And anticipation is that we will have more than 500 million people in our economy using mobile. What it means is, the way all of you in this room and people outside of this room in India might have a very different way of communicating, accessing information for service and buying of product, and for any other interaction, how they would operate. So it is not, so the mobile revolution that has started right now and will go on till 2020, if you really see, will paint possibly every citizen in our country. So that is how it is going to work, right? So, and more, when you have more and more access to information, then most of your activities on the move, and it's going to create a lot more stress on product and services organization like us to deliver what people want. There is a lot of financial stress also on entrepreneurs, because today there is a lot of money available, a lot of private equities that are available for organization to invest. So only you see more and more organization. I'm sure this year you would have experienced a lot more startup organization coming into your campuses and wanting to hire resource at a very high price. One of the reasons why this happens is one, they have very limited time to grow, right? Because every quarter these organizations are reviewed. Every quarter they need to show development. So your students, when they hit the campus, also need to deliver at that pace to organization. Otherwise they becomes irrelevant to those organizations. So one of the fear is while you place, will your student necessarily find a great career? Or have you built your students to a point where they're able to handle the changing dynamics that these organizations are managing? So you probably need to rework. Some of the rudimentary syllabus, what even Jude was saying, might perhaps not help. Probably you need to look at what organization wants and then prepare them from the first year of their joining your campus. Because 1 year, final year internship, placement, 6 months window may not be the right thing, right? So that is something which are influencers of organization. If you see organization imperatives basis what external influences are happening, there is a lesser cycle time for any organization to develop its product and service and hit the market and get very productive. Product innovation, service innovation is becoming more and more important, right? How do you innovate your product, make it more viable? For example, if you really see a product like Samsung, which makes the best mobile in the world, is not relevant today because they don't have a space online. If you really see, some of the retail operations of Samsung is closing down. I don't know if you realize, because a lot of unbranded but quality-oriented products being sold on Flipkart or Amazon, right? Like an MI phone. So they're taking the space of or eating the market share of. It is the same problem for P&G. So I met one of the global distribution head of P&G. So one of the biggest challenge that they're facing is the changing dynamics in our market, right? So if you see P&G has 30% market share or shelf share rather on their product with all the retail setups that we have. But is that the same thing? The highest selling health drink like Horlicks has been displaced by some other health drink because of the online dynamics, right? And Amazon can promote a Viva more than Horlicks, but the entire game changes as and when people start buying online. So these are more disruptive marketplace for people, and then they have to have strategies of working. So those sort of things are working out. There are becoming. We also need to come up with quicker turnaround in our service. So not only innovate, but also you should be very quick in doing that, because otherwise there are 10 other guys waiting to compete with you and take over your business. There should be more scientific approach. If you really see, I don't know if you realize, across the globe, there has been a lot of work going on in the data science side. Because your consumer is becoming so very complex to understand, right? You cannot work with your hunches, right? You cannot say that, okay, I know my customer. You cannot say that. So people are looking at sales, distribution, supply, product innovation, packaging. At all levels, they're saying, how do I reduce my cost? How do I make it more efficient? How do I look more attractive to my customer? On all of these decisions are going on, and it is going on basis what data says. So that kind of research is going on. I don't know any of your college is yet ready and are doing any work on those sides. Surprisingly, not many B schools are also doing at this stage. They're just learning to do some work. And more importantly, they're also looking at profitability. If you really see, many organizations are not very profitable. But that's an organization imperative to grow profitable. So I've got very less time now, so I'll try and wrap it much faster. So how does it work with? So what are the results that we can see through this organization imperatives and what influences are doing? If you really see, like I told you, there is a data-driven approach. People are looking at more data critically to arrive at their decisions. It is not about my experience. I cannot say that I'm 17 year experience, so I'm better than anybody else. There can be a college pass out who has more data than me, and he can prove to be better than me. So it's more people are thriving on data. Operational effectiveness. If you really see, for the amount of product being shipped, now you don't go buy in retail stores. You buy it online, right? So your product is being shipped from places. So then how do you pack it? How do you send it? How do you make sure that on time it's delivered? Those sort of operational effectiveness that we are working on. Shorter time to deliver goods and services at lesser price. And then organization are also buying or they're burning cash to acquire customers and retain so that they can have a share in the market and they can progress through that. So those sort of trends we are seeing. Now, how does all of these, how does all of these apply to your, because these are all relative. Because these are your relative, because your students who come out of the college has to align to some of these nuances of market and how organization work and how they deliver to the organization, right? So if you really see, some of the thoughts that I thought on top of my mind that I thought was important was one, so there is a very less time for any individual to become productive to organization. So let your internship be aligned to your career goal. So one of the things that Jude was saying is that, can your internship start not at the 4th year, can it start at the 3rd year? Actually, we have experienced this to a great extent in our campus, in our organization, where we had given projects to students in the campus. We have made them work on those projects, come back, and it was a real case study. And then when people finished this project, we were ready to hire them the next year. And as an organization, we had so much more time and luxury to invest on that particular student in updating them about the progress that we were doing so that he's up to speed while he's doing his curriculum. In fact, this year, if you really see, we ran projects with about 30 colleges, 30 B schools, and about 80 teams and about 240 people who participated. These were from large campuses, large IIMs and those sort of campuses. And from there, we picked up internship, and then we will be doing a pre-placement. So it has become a rhythm of how we hire people. So let your student choose the internship that they want to do. Let them be very, very sure about the project that they want to do. Let it not be, an exercise of earning some grades. Let it be an exercise of being an experience for student. And you guys have to play a role on that because you got some responsibility towards that. And the second thing is, it's about relevance, right? So talent pool relevance to organization is becoming more important than textbook learning, right? Textbook learnings are more important, but it is also more important than how they apply it in business. How do they apply? Sometimes what you learn in learning about microcontrollers and then getting into one consulting services organization working on Java, how is it relevant? It's not relevant at all, right? So people can see, if you really see most of our product managers who call shots on a product and then they're being part of critical decisions for products are people from campus. And these are the guys who intern with us, they understand our value, and then they learn and then come back. So choose your organization and the role for internship carefully so that most internship leads you to a PPO. At least that has been a model that we have been working on. Most of our interns are the PPO that we hire into our organization. So these are 3 messages I thought it's important for you guys to understand and move on. I'll be ready for any questions after Rajendran's session. Thank you very much.